In early 2026, China's Ministry of Commerce made a stunning announcement: a total halt to rare earth exports to the United States and Japan, citing national security concerns. The world watched as the news rippled through global markets, sending shockwaves across industries dependent on these critical materials. This move weaponized China's overwhelming dominance over rare earth elements, materials essential for everything from smartphones and electric vehicles to advanced military hardware. With over 80% of global rare earth production under its control, China signaled a new era where access to resources is no longer guaranteed, but instead wielded as a powerful tool of geopolitical influence. Unlike previous export restrictions, this was a complete and uncompromising cutoff. The West, long reliant on the steady flow of these minerals, was suddenly forced to confront a vulnerability that had been underestimated for decades. Factories faced immediate shortages, and global supply chains began to unravel. Emergency talks erupted in Washington and Tokyo, as leaders scrambled to respond to a crisis threatening not just consumer electronics, but also the very foundation of their technological and military capabilities. The stakes were higher than ever, with national security and economic stability hanging in the balance. The ban exposed the fragility of global supply chains, revealing just how interconnected and vulnerable the world's economies have become. As shelves emptied and production lines stalled, the true cost of overdependence on a single supplier became painfully clear. This was more than a trade dispute. It was a dramatic escalation in the ongoing rivalry between China and the West. China's message was unmistakable: it holds the keys to the elements that power its rivals' industries, and it is fully prepared to use the leverage to protect its interests and assert its position on the world stage. The age of frictionless trade in critical materials is over. Resource nationalism and strategic competition have arrived, ushering in a new era where access to the building blocks of modern life is no longer taken for granted, but fiercely contested. Rare earth elements aren't truly rare, but extracting them in usable quantities is difficult and costly. These 17 metals have unique properties that make them essential for everything from electric vehicles and wind turbines to smartphones and fighter jets. Without rare earths, the green transition and advanced defense technologies grind to a halt. The F-35 fighter jet, for example, needs hundreds of kilograms of rare earths for its sensors and systems. Even the vibrant colors on your phone screen and the magnets in your headphones rely on these elements. Their sudden absence would cripple industries and threaten national security. Rare earths are the invisible backbone of modern life, and now, a major point of global contention. Over the past several decades, China has methodically built a near monopoly over the global rare earth industry. Through a combination of state planning, strategic investments, and government support, China now controls about 2/3 of all rare earth mining worldwide. Even more striking, China is responsible for refining over 90% of the world's rare earth elements, a process that transforms raw minerals into the high-purity materials essential for modern technology. While other countries, from Australia to the United States, have rare earth deposits and some mining operations, almost all of the crucial processing and refining takes place within China's borders. This creates a global choke point that Beijing can leverage for economic and political advantage. China's dominance is no accident. It's the result of a deliberate long-term strategy that included massive investments in mining infrastructure, generous government subsidies, and a willingness to overlook environmental costs that deterred competitors. As early as the 1980s, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping recognized the strategic value of rare earths, famously declaring, "The Middle East has oil, China has rare earths." That vision has now become a powerful reality. Today, rare earths are the backbone of countless high-tech industries. If China were to restrict exports, it could paralyze the production of everything, from smartphones and electric vehicles to advanced military hardware and renewable energy systems. The actual market value of rare earth minerals is relatively small, but the products they enable, worth trillions of dollars, are vital to the global economy and modern life. This gives Beijing enormous leverage in its ongoing disputes with Western nations, allowing it to use rare earths as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations and geopolitical standoffs. The message from China is clear: challenge its dominance, and the world's most advanced industries could face devastating consequences, with supply chains disrupted and production lines grinding to a halt. The export ban sent shockwaves through US and Japanese industries, especially automakers and renewable energy firms. Electric vehicles and wind turbines depend on rare earth magnets. Without them, production halts and climate goals falter. The defense sector faces even graver risks. Rare earths are critical for advanced weapons sensors and fighter jets. A shortage could degrade military readiness and delay key programs like the F-35. Consumer electronics, a Japanese stronghold, are also at risk, threatening economic growth and innovation. Even a short disruption could cost Japan billions and shrink its GDP. For both nations, the ban is a crisis hitting industry security and the green transition all at once. Washington and Tokyo responded with emergency measures, including the rapid release of strategic stockpiles of rare earth elements, though these reserves offer only a brief reprieve. Officials scrambled to assess the scale of the disruption, holding late-night meetings, and coordinating with industry leaders to prevent immediate shortages in critical sectors like defense, electronics, and renewable energy. The sense of urgency was palpable, as leaders understood that these stockpiles could buy time, but not solve the underlying vulnerability. Diplomatic efforts ramped up almost overnight, with both nations preparing a formal complaint to the World Trade Organization. Despite the slow process and uncertain outcome, these moves signaled a united front and a willingness to use every tool available. Behind the scenes, diplomats worked the phones, seeking support from European allies and other major economies, hoping to build a coalition to pressure China and stabilize global markets. The real focus, however, quickly shifted to building alternative supply chains. Governments began fast-tracking permits for domestic mining, offering subsidies for new processing facilities, and investing in research to improve extraction and recycling technologies. At the same time, Western nations moved to forge new partnerships with allies like Australia and Canada, countries rich in rare earth resources, but previously underdeveloped in this sector. These alliances aim to diversify supply and reduce dependence on a single source. Companies like MP Materials in the US and leading Japanese firms suddenly found themselves under immense pressure to scale up operations at unprecedented speed. Governments offered incentives, while investors poured money into projects that had long been considered too risky or unprofitable. Rebuilding rare earth industries after decades of neglect is a massive challenge, complicated by strict environmental rules and the technical complexity of processing these minerals safely. Communities near potential mining sites voiced concerns, forcing policymakers to balance environmental protection with national security. Still, the crisis injected a new sense of urgency, turning what were once long-term plans into immediate priorities. Project timelines were slashed and companies raced to ramp up production, knowing that every delay could have global consequences. The West is now racing to break free from China's grip on rare earths, but the path to independence is long and fraught with obstacles. Building resilient supply chains will require years of investment, innovation, and international cooperation. The stakes could not be higher. Economic security, military strength, and the future of clean technology all hang in the balance as the world watches how the West responds to this unprecedented challenge. This isn't the first time China has used rare earths as leverage. In 2010, a diplomatic spat with Japan led to an unofficial export halt, sending prices soaring and exposing global vulnerabilities. Japan responded by diversifying suppliers and investing in recycling, but by 2026, it still relies on China for most heavy rare earths. The current ban is broader and more severe, targeting both Japan and the US, with a formal declared policy. Unlike 2010's temporary disruption, this is a strategic assault on the economic and military foundations of China's chief rivals. The lesson: past efforts to reduce dependency helped, but didn't solve the core problem. The world is now facing a far bigger test. As China cut off rare earths, Japan launched a bold mission: deep-sea mining near Minami Torishima. The Chikyu vessel is testing technology to extract mineral-rich mud from 6,000 meters below the ocean surface. This undersea deposit could supply the world's heavy rare earth needs for centuries, potentially making Japan a major supplier. Success would break China's monopoly and secure resources for Japan and its allies. But the project faces huge technical and environmental challenges, with scientists warning of risks to fragile marine ecosystems. Japan must weigh its urgent need for resource security against the potential for ecological harm. The outcome could reshape the global rare earth market and the balance of power. The 2022 Saiten said the Dalmains Halmerdan in Soanan Suan, Gain, Fonesikitsanan, Krisikins rare earth crisis has forced the West to rethink its entire approach to critical materials. Short-term fixes like stockpiles are stopgaps. The real challenge is building a secure, independent supply chain. The US must invest in mining, processing, and workforce development while streamlining regulations. International cooperation is essential. Alliances with Japan, Australia, Canada, and Europe can create a resilient network. Shared standards for sustainability and ethics will be key. The crisis also spurs innovation. Companies are racing to develop rare earth alternatives and improve recycling. The path forward: rebuild domestic capacity, strengthen alliances, and innovate out of dependency. The stakes are high, but so is the opportunity to reshape the future of technology and security.